Every year, about this time, my family, we get together. So I grew up on a farm, so we butcher our own hogs. So the last pig. So now over at the rectory, we have a freezer full of meat. And so yesterday, I was home. We were butchering hogs, and my nephew was there, and he is an avid Chiefs fan, just like Father Matt, that level. And my dad, who is there, was asking him, kind of bantering with him who's going to win the game, right? And my dad told him that I don't have another 50 years to wait. We got a chuckle out of that, but I want to reflect upon something that, maybe an event like this, like the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl after 50 years, or sports in general, there's something important in reflecting upon life and what we do in life, events in life, nature, because they can point us to God. So this is going to be, today's the most viewed sporting event of the year, and people get excited about it, right? Very excited about it. Well, why are we like that as human beings? If we were made by a creator, that means those things that get us excited, those things where we kind of find meaning, that tells us something about the creator, right? So it's not like there's a natural world and then there's a supernatural world, and God is way outside in the supernatural world and doesn't really have anything to do with the natural world, the created world. We just kind of get on our own as we go. We believe in a sacramental way of life. Now, anytime that I use the word sacrament, you think of the 7 sacraments, right? And our second graders are going to be making their first Holy Communion in a couple months, and they've just made their first confession last weekend. They know all of the sacraments, the 7 sacraments. But we also acknowledge sacramentals. So those are special objects like rosaries, pictures, devotionals, that are things that we see or touch, and the purpose is for them, they tell us something about God, about who God is. They connect us with God. They're not God, and sometimes people can make a sacramental into an idol, right? So a devotional image, maybe even this crucifix. We could come and pray before this crucifix as this, image is leading us to God, but then it becomes almost the God itself, the sacred object itself, more than the object. Then it becomes an idol. No, wait. The purpose is to go from the visible to the invisible. Now, St. Augustine said there were sacramentals. So when I say sacramental, don't get confused about this. It's simple. It's an outward sign, something we see or we can touch, anything with the 5 senses that points us beyond what we see. Does that make sense? So something we see that points us beyond. It helps us to see what we can't see. So the night and the day is a sacramental that the church has always embraced as a way of looking at death and resurrection. So the sun coming up, Jesus is the resurrection. So it's an outward sign that can lead us beyond the material world to the spiritual world that truly exists, but is more than the senses. Well, I think football, and I've talked about this before, I think it's the best sport that communicates kind of as a sacramental outward sign, not a holy sacramental, but a natural sacramental, an outward sign that tells us a lot about how the spiritual life is to work. First of all, it's a battle and it's kind of violent, right? It's not pleasant. Secondly, when you think about the Chiefs, it's been, like 50 years, right? And so every year, Chiefs fans, like Father Matt, no matter how bad they are, they always get up and try hard again because this might be the year, right? They don't get discouraged. For me, I'd be just like, oh, who cares? I'll go do something else. But they get up with new hope every year. Think about that with our spiritual life, right? How many years we fail, we don't make progress, maybe we win some games, we have some victories, but we don't make it. Do you just quit? No, because we know that there's a battle, we're in a battle, and there's a victory we're after. So we get back up the next year. How long did they wait to get into the promised land that they were expecting? 40 years. Father Matt's been waiting, my dad's been waiting 50 years. And so, you think about this, it's like, if we look at the spiritual life as just kind of like checking a box and fulfilling just this external duty, but not as a living, true battle in which we're seeking victory, then really the spiritual life loses any kind of attraction. It's like blah, But if it is not just a sporting event that is here today and tomorrow, but an event, a saving event, and eternity is riding on it, and that we're the players in the battle, we're the actual participants, we're not just observing it, that changes the way that we live our spiritual life, the way that we live our faith. I was thinking about today's the presentation in the temple, and the old man Simeon and Anna. Anna was 84. She had been praying in the temple for like 70 years, 60 years, waiting, expectation. And Simeon, an old man, expectation and waiting. And now he sees finally. So he never lost the spirit of expectation, of hope, that one day it could be, just like Father Matt, never has lost hope, right? And today's his day. And that's why the first word that you hear from Simeon's mouth is what? Now. Now. Right now, it's happening. Now, I know I'm just using this as an analogy, but it's a helpful analogy for the spiritual life. Jesus coming into the temple and the Israelite people waiting for thousands of years for the coming of a Messiah. Really, the arrival of Jesus on the scene it will lead to a victory, but it's not the victory. It was what was anticipated by the Israelite people. It was their hope for centuries and centuries, and they were constantly stirring it up. Don't get discouraged, even though it hasn't come. It's gonna come. The Messiah, we're expecting him. We got to stir each other up. If you want to look and just reflect maybe as an analogy, really, Jesus coming onto the scene is now the championship game. It's what we're waiting for. So the battle is not over, but now that Jesus has come, we are in the temple. The last match, the last battle, the Superbowl, on a base level, okay, I get it, is here. And we're the participants. We're on the field. And this sense, just like looking at your own spiritual life, if it's hard and it's a struggle, then you're on the right track, because it's not meant to be easy. This is about not a victory over one team over another. This is the victory of love over death, of charity over hatred. And it's played out, first of all, in the temple of our own hearts, this battle. And, if you think about this, the Christian life is very much the way God designed it. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. So I don't care how good Mahomes is, he can't do it by himself, right? They all have to be working incredibly tightly together. And to the degree like the players have a brotherhood, that elevates their talent to a whole nother level. So think about in Christian communities, we've kind of went away from that sense of like, we're in this together and we need to have relationship with one another. We need to have friendship. We're on the same team. And if I lose, you lose. If you lose, I lose. We don't look at our salvation like that, do we? Not too much. Because that's not the vision that was pitched to us. But the truth is, the Jews never saw their relationship with God as me and God. It was always we and God. They would not have been able to fathom a singular private identity, which is, that's hard for us. I mean, like, that's the only way we can kind of see life, right? This is what I want to do. Their whole mindset, mental framework was, I'm so united to you that you're my other self. I can't separate from the other. And that's why it was no problem for them to see that if something bad happened to someone, it could easily be because someone else did something bad. Because the community was so tight. And so to think about the spiritual life, first of all, was a battle. And there's something in football and in kind of what's being celebrated today that speaks to people's hearts because it's an outward sign in one way of a spiritual battle, spiritual game, and it's more than a game, that's being worked out in each one of us. And this desire for victory and this unabashedly year after year, getting back up in hope and saying, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year. And then getting to the point eventually, one day for us, it will be now. Now is the hour for us. And then finally, to see that in this event, this brutal event that's being worked out here and now, the Super Bowl is now in the spiritual life because Christ is here. The last game, the last event, the last battle, it's all happening now. The victory's not won yet. But this is the victory match. This is the victory battle. That it only can be won as a team. That's the purpose of a parish. To come together in relationship, not just to be here in bodies, but how am I cultivating relationship and friendship with my brothers and sisters in this parish? Are these the people necessarily that I would want to hang out with? Maybe not. But these are the people that God has put us with. We are here together, not by accident. And to the degree that we try to play the game on our own, we're out of sync with the rest of the players, and more than likely we're overcome. So, to conclude, it's a lot of fun. The Chiefs are playing in the Super Bowl. I put Father Matt's name down for the 5:30 Mass tonight, and he was really upset with me. I was just doing it to be funny. Notice how people get so much into what's going on. And what can that tell us beyond what we can see in regards to how God made us and the situation that we're in right now, and how we're going to find the ultimate fulfillment to be fully alive and be victorious. And so we ask the Holy Spirit to give us a spiritual view of everything, even football, of what we visibly see, that it might be a stepping stone to victory in God.